today. I'm so excited that you are here and that you are willing to listen to this full story. So as you saw, I announced about a week ago that I officially am going full-time with what was my side business, Pioneer, making that my full-time business. And I am a full entrepreneur. And so I really just wanted the opportunity to kind of share a little bit more about the journey, even though I would take forever on Instagram stories and things like that. So I figured, why not do it here? So I'm going to try to keep this 5 minutes or less. We'll see how it goes. Everyone that knows me personally knows that I don't know how to tell a short story, so we'll see how it goes. So there is really just like a long process as to how I got here, but I'm going to kind of focus on like the last 2 years. And so in 2020, I prayed for a word over the year, as I do and have for the last several years, and I got the word dream. Of course, at the beginning of 2020, I didn't know what would come with the pandemic and COVID, but basically I just felt like God was highlighting the fact that I had believed a little bit of a lie of like, I like my job, I love my job, but it wasn't like my dream job and I would never have that. And so I felt like he opened up the door to basically just really start processing and asking and just figuring out what is my actual dream job. So for several months in 2020, I just wrote down a bunch of different things. I thought of a bunch of different things, and some things were like, okay, that could be really cool. Some things were, nope, that's probably not the safest as a young female, those kinds of things. And really, in 2020 is when I started my Instagram again. I had done it a little bit in PT school, but a completely different kind of outlook and purpose. And so at the beginning of 2020, along with that word, I felt like God invited me back into using Instagram again. And so in that process, it actually showed me a lot of people who were doing kind of what I wanted to do. So in that process, I knew that I wanted to do cash-based. I definitely wanted to be one-on-one, and I would love to be in a gym or something like that at some point. So that's kind of how it started. And just as my Instagram account kind of grew through 2020, and as I started processing that more, we decided to open up Pioneer, the LLC, at the very end of 2020. So still not really expecting much, but like, okay, I'm having a little bit more of a following. People are asking me a lot of questions. Let's monetize this. So then I announced it in February of 2021, which was about a year ago. And honestly, Pioneer has basically been full since day one. And of course, it was a side business, so it was only a couple hours every week, but it really was consistently full. And I feel like that's just the favor of the Lord and just really in obedience into what he was saying. It's been a huge blessing. And so as 2021 started coming around, I started having like more real thoughts about like, okay, if that's a dream I have, how am I going to get there? And basically in 2021, we became debt-free in May. And I had prayed before that and just really felt like God said, pray and evaluate again when you become debt-free. So of course I prayed like the next day and just really felt like he said, it's up to you. Like there's not a perfect timing. There's not an exact date of when I want you to leave, like just when you feel ready. So didn't really know what that meant still. So like, okay, I guess I'll just see what happens. And at that point I was like, okay, maybe in 2022, I'll leave. We'll see what happens. I'll just go find a gym. I'll market myself to local gyms, see what happens. But what was even crazier was that without getting to all the details, we had a friend of a friend who moved here from another state. And our mutual friend basically asked us if we'd be willing to have her over to get to know her and all of that being in a new city. And so Greg and I said yes. And basically in our first conversation, she was asking what my dream job was. And so I told her kind of what I'm alluding to now. And she was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, nope, that's what I would love to do eventually. And she came down here to work with another company of personal trainers. And they had had a conversation the previous night about wanting to partner with a physical therapist. So still two separate businesses, but in one space. And so this was several months before I really felt like I wanted to leave. So I basically said like, hey, I'm willing to hear, I'm willing to talk to them, but I'm not leaving anytime soon. And I really just wanted to honor several things that I was involved in. So essentially had the conversation and we hit it off very easily. And as I was praying about it, it seemed like a very clear, like, okay, this is been handed to you. It's very obvious this is what God has for you. That when I was praying, I felt like the Lord basically said, if I didn't walk in this, it'd be an act of disobedience. Like this was the next step he had for me. Even if it's hard, even if it's a lot of unknown, this is what was next. And so it's really just been a really pretty cool process just to see the faithfulness of God, starting from really back in 2015 when I went to PT school. I knew I wouldn't be working the conventional path, to now it being 2022 and kind of seeing what that looks like. And I'm sure it'll evolve even more. And so I really just wanted to share this to encourage you guys that if there's a dream that you're wanting, or if you're a PT student, like there are so many avenues. I'm so thankful for the job I had the last 3.5 years in the residency, which is a huge reason why I feel comfortable even doing this. Yeah, it's just that this can be yours too. You can have a dream that you maybe don't see happening a lot, or maybe you don't even know about, but over time it can reveal itself. And also, of course, this story is 5 minutes of really a lot of the highlights and the positives, and it doesn't mean that there weren't several nights where I was super frustrated, didn't know what I was doing, systems failed, all that kind of stuff, and tears of frustration. But also, just whenever I told everybody that I was working with, I cried like an hour and a half that night, just out of being overwhelmed by the faithfulness of God and just how this has all played out over the last 2 years. So anyway, that is my story. 6 minutes, not too bad, but I just want to say thank you for being here. Like, when you support an individual who has a small business, like, you really are supporting that person more than you're supporting just the business. And so every time that you like something, you share something, you save something, you buy something, you tell someone, like, all that matters and it makes a difference. So it helps me educate other people. It helps me share my story, whether that is on the PT side or whether that's my faith. And so I'm just super thankful that you are here, and I can't wait to see what happens in the rest of the year.